Once upon a time, in a lush green meadow surrounded by a forest, there lived 5 ducks and 3 sheep. The ducks, named Daisy, Daffodil, Dolly, Donald, and Danny, loved to spend their days splashing in the crystal clear pond that was located in the center of the meadow. The sheep, named Rosie, Rambo, and Ralph, spent their days grazing on the sweet grass that grew abundantly all around them. One sunny morning, as the ducks were happily swimming in the pond and the sheep were lazily grazing in the meadow, a sly and clever fox named Felix appeared at the edge of the forest. Felix had been watching the animals for days, plotting a way to catch his next meal. As Felix observed the ducks and sheep from afar, he noticed that there was a pattern to their activities. The ducks would swim in the pond for exactly 1 hour before taking a break on the shore, while the sheep would graze in one section of the meadow for 2 hours before moving on to another section. Using his keen sense of smell and sharp intelligence, Felix devised a plan to catch his prey. He waited patiently until the ducks had finished their hours of swimming and had settled on the shore to rest. Then, with a silent and stealthy approach, Felix crept up to the pond and lay in wait. As the sun began to set and the ducks started to grow restless, Felix made his move. With a lightning-fast leap, he pounced on the unsuspecting ducks and snatched them up one by one. Daisy, Daffodil, Dolly, Donald, and Danny struggled and quacked in terror, but it was too late. Felix had outsmarted them with his cunning plan. Meanwhile, the sheep had noticed the absence of their feathery friends and grew anxious. Rambo, the bravest of the 3, decided to investigate and wandered over to the pond. What he saw made his heart sink. Felix, the cunning fox, was devouring the ducks with a wicked gleam in his eye. Anger and determination surged through Rambo as he realized what had happened. He hurried back to Rosie and Ralph, and together they came up with a plan to outwit the fox and save their friends. The sheep knew that Felix was clever, but they also knew that he had one weakness: his greed. Using this knowledge to their advantage, Rosie, Rambo, and Ralph set out to lure Felix into a trap. As the moon rose high in the sky, the sheep braved the darkness of the forest and managed to find the fox's den. They carefully placed themselves outside the entrance and began to bleat loudly, pretending to be lost and scared. Felix, hearing the distressed cries of the sheep, couldn't resist the opportunity to catch his next meal. He emerged from his eye den and stalked towards the sheep, his eyes glinting with hunger. But just as Felix was about to pounce, Rosie, Rambo, and Ralph sprang into action. With a swift push, they sent the cunning fox tumbling into a pit they had dug earlier that day. Felix yelped in surprise as he fell into the trap, unable to escape. The sheep rejoiced in their victory, knowing that they had outwitted the clever fox and saved their friends from a terrible fate. Daisy, Daffodil, Dolly, Donald, and Danny were grateful to be alive and pledged to always be vigilant and watch out for each other from that day on. As the sun rose on the meadow the next morning, the animals gathered together to celebrate their triumph over adversity. They knew that as long as they stood united and used their wits, they could overcome any challenge that came their way. And so, the 5 ducks and 3 sheep lived happily ever after, their bond stronger than ever before, and their meadow a peaceful haven once more.